We're on verdict watch in the Gabrielle Nestande hit-and-run trial. Jurors got the case yesterday and began day 2 of their deliberations about 9 o'clock this morning. They began deliberating shortly after. Nestande swore to tell the truth and testified in her own defense. She's accused of driving drunk when she hit and killed Courtney Griffin. The manslaughter charge carries a possible punishment of 20 years. Nestande is also charged with intoxication manslaughter, which has the same punishment. She also faces up to 10 years in prison for failure to stop and help Griffin after the crash. Nestande testified she was setting an alarm on her cell phone when she hit Griffin.
After you picked up your phone from the cup holder,
to see if my alarm was set, and my windshield just shattered. It was just an instant. It was so quick.
Jurors have been deliberating the Nestande case for a total of about 6 hours now. 3 hours last night and 3 more this morning. Our Chris Sadeghi is live at the Travis County Courthouse awaiting a verdict. Chris?
Well, there's a lot for this jury to consider. There's a lot of evidence, 3 different charges, and attorneys on both sides expressed to them how important it is to get this decision right. Nestande was very emotional when she took the stand for her testimony. She said it's her responsibility for the accident, but also said she was not drunk. In closing arguments, attorneys had 2 very different messages for the jury. The defense team said that this was a dark road. The victim, Courtney Griffin, was wearing dark clothes, and that it is reasonable to believe that any sober driver would have had trouble seeing her. The prosecution, though, tried to paint Nestande as entitled, a person who's friends with people of power, and that it's the jury has a chance to send a message about the culture of drinking in Austin.
many drivers, sober, normal drivers, would have had a very difficult time seeing a pedestrian under those circumstances.
Your verdict is going to set the standard for what is okay and what is not okay in this town. We've got a culture in this town where there's a lot of drinking and a lot of people who like to work hard and play hard. And Courtney paid the price for that.
And the jury just ordered lunch. They're expected to have it here at the courthouse while they continue to pour through these deliberations. Now, if they return a guilty verdict for any of these charges, it's expected that a penalty phase will begin immediately following. We're live at the Travis County Justice Complex. Chris Sadeghi, KXAN News.
All right, thanks, Chris. The hit-and-run trial reached a dramatic climax with her testimony yesterday. She tried to explain what happened that fateful night of May 27, 2011.
Gabby, whose fault is it that you're here? Whose fault is it?
It's mine.
After you picked up your phone from the cup holder,
To see if my alarm was set, and my windshield just shattered. It was just an instant. It was so quick. I was so scared. My heart was beating out of my chest, and I looked up, and the whole right side of my windshield was just shattered. I looked in my rearview mirror to see what was in the street, if anything was moving, and I didn't see anything.
The Nestande jury has a lot of options, including a 4th possible conviction of criminally negligent homicide. Our Sophia Beausoleil continues our team coverage with legal analysis of the Nestande case.
For the first time, the jury heard Gabrielle Nestande's dramatic testimony in court on Tuesday. Legal experts say she had to take the stand and testify because that's really what jurors wanted to hear. 9 men and 3 women will decide the former Capitol staff worker's fate. Our analyst Mindy Montford says the defense probably wanted more men because women can be very judgmental of other women. Montford says the jury has to sift through a lot of complicated evidence. For example, when it comes to the charge of failing to stop and render aid, jurors have to decide whether or not Nestande knew at the time that she hit a person, whether or not she acted reasonably, and whether or not she should have called for medical help. Montford says Nestande's testimony was essential to this case.
When I looked in my car that morning, I saw a dent on my hood that I couldn't see the night before, but I really didn't see any scratches or anything.
Well, I think she definitely had to take the stand. I think the jury had to see that she was remorseful, that she's human, that she has feelings, and they wanted to hear her side of the story and what she remembered seeing and why she did what she did or didn't do what she didn't do.
Montfort says what also makes this tough for jurors is the evidence. Nestande didn't receive a sobriety test, so the state is relying on other evidence to prove she was drunk.
And I think the defense was smart to point that out, that, hey, this is not maybe she was drinking or whether it was more likely than not she was intoxicated. The standard is beyond a reasonable doubt, and they are going to hold the state to that burden of proof and say that you can't just show somebody was intoxicated by throwing some receipts out, throwing some testimony of other people who might have been drinking also that night, some video footage.
Montfort says the jury has a lot on their plate and believes it will take a while before they're out. Sophia Beausoleil, KXAN News.